All right, welcome back to the garage. Today's task is to do something. There's so many things to be done. It's hard to stay focused and work on a single task, so I multitask. I'm starting to mock up the air ride a little bit, see where that goes. I want to see where the fuel tank goes. I want to see where the brake lines are, fuel lines, stuff like that. I've pulled out the sheet metal here. I've got the inner fenders, the outer fenders, header panel, and lower valence. I've also got the old rusty radiator support. I've got a new one in the box there. Pull that out. I've been slowly cleaning on these guys. The last time I drove this car, I ran it through a bunch of mud puddles. Then I parked it and started taking it apart. So I want to clean up these fenders a little bit. It's amazing what just a little bit of elbow grease, abrasive pads, and vinegar will do. But clean these guys up a little bit. I want to start test fitting this all together, and I've got to figure out where the reservoir for the hydraulic clutch is going to live, as well as I picked up this guy. This is a line lock, because why wouldn't you have a line lock if you can? So let's get into that. Okay, this seems to be just a basic line lock kit. I've got a bunch of reading to do here, but it includes the solenoid and some plumber's tape, sheet metal screws, a button, a fuse link, and a light. That's pretty cool. Right on. I need to find out where that's going to live in here, because I want it to be easy to plumb and easy to service, and yet tucked up out of the way so it's not too conspicuous. So let's see what we can do. Okay, this line lock has got 2 open ports and 2 blocked off ports. This port here is the inlet, and these other 3 are the outlets. I'll need to keep that in mind whenever I go to install this. Also, these are NPT fittings. I will need to get adapters to go from NPT to flare fitting, but that's okay. We can do initial mock-up right now. Let's see where we want that thing to live over there. Okay, over here on the firewall, I put this bracket on. This is the firewall to inner fender bracket, and that gives me a good idea of where that inner fender is going to sit. So I thought about mounting it to that bracket, but I think plumbing that's going to be difficult, and it's going to be kind of hidden. What I want to do is mount this guy right about here. So it's just underneath the master cylinder. I can tie into that proportioning valve bracket there, and maybe make something up. Let's see if we can't make a bracket to fit that guy up there. Okay, I just made a rough cardboard template of what I think my bracket should look like. This guy here will mount on this footing right here, and this side here will go up and bolt to that proportioning valve bracket. Let's test fit this cardboard piece on there and see how close we are. Okay, I've got my cardboard template bolted in place here. It's just in between this bracket and the proportioning valve. I think that'll be just fine. Makes a nice little shelf here. Let's try it with this guy on it. Like so, roughly. Something like that. I can make it big and then cut off the excess, but that still leaves me access to the clutch master cylinder tube there. I think that'll be just fine. I think I can plumb that from the master cylinder down to it, and from it up to the proportioning valve. Let's maybe bend a piece of metal and start cutting on it and see what we can get. Okay, I've just transferred the cardboard template over to steel here. I'm going to cut this out and throw a bend in it along here, and start whittling on it. Okay, I've rough cut that bracket and put the bend in it. It's going to sit right up about here, something kind of like that. I made it so that the bottom piece is parallel to this bracket piece here. I think that'll make it function and look a lot better. Of course, I still need to drill the holes in it and do some more fit and fiddle on it, trim it down a bit more, but that's kind of the gist of it. Let's keep trucking on it. Okay, I've got that bracket clamped into place, and I've got the line lock clamped onto it just to see where it's going to live. I also went ahead and put fittings on it, and I put the fittings on the master cylinder here. And I'm using the lines that came with the kit just to see where I think I can make my lines and how well they're going to line up to everything. So I think I can go ahead and pull this off, cut it to size, and drill it out, and keep trucking. Look, Ma, no clamps. I've got it drilled out and bolted up here, trimmed up to size. It's looking real good. I used Allen head cap screws on the the line lock itself, I'm actually going to weld those nuts to the bracket so they don't go anywhere. And yeah, I think we're just about to have this guy wrapped up and about ready to be able to make lines for it. I think it's looking pretty good. Okay, and this is what that bracket ends up looking like. You've got the nuts welded to the back side of it. It's ready for paint, I think. Anytime that I'm painting stuff, I can paint this guy up. Let's throw everything back together here and start seeing what we got. Okay, here it is all bolted back together. I can start making lines for it now. The line that came with the Willwood kit will work for the rears going into the proportioning valve, but I've got to make up lines to go from the fronts into the line lock and then out of there into here. What I've picked up is a stainless steel kit from Amazon. This guy right here comes with a bunch of different fittings. However, the ones that are supposed to be 3/16, the threads are right, but the head is metric on them. So I had to order some others. These are from the Stop Shop here, and they are the correct size, both inside and out. So I can start bending up some lines and make them fit. I also went ahead and picked up a flare tool. So I've got to pull this out and give it a try. Okay, this flare tool is a cheap Chinese knockoff of the Eastwood one, which there's lots of videos on how to use this thing, so I'm not going to bore you with this, as well as it's hard to do this and hold a camera at the same time. What I have done is I made up the lines, got those all bent up the way that I like them. I don't have them flared yet, just wanted to make sure, test fit them in here and see how they fit. And so far, they're looking pretty good. We can pull this apart and flare those guys. At Houston, we have a problem. So I've got my line here that I've bent up, and I've got the flare nuts ready to go on it. On this side here, I think I can flare that pretty well. But this side here, oh, that ain't gonna work. I don't have enough room for that nut, and I'd have to unbend this to slide the nut. And I don't think I'll be able to unbend it, flare it, and then bend it back. So this is just a really nice template. So what I've got to do is cut more line, flare it with the nuts on it, and then bend it. Same thing with this guy. I think this one here, yeah, no, that's going to be too short. And that side there is going to definitely be too short. So I have some really nice templates for the lines that I'm going to make. All right, I cut a new piece, I flared it, and I bent it, and it's looking pretty good. I tried to eyeball it, came up way short. Then I pulled out the seamstress tape, and that makes it a lot better. This guy fits on here really nice. Okay, that's how it looks in its home. It's looking real good. Now I've got to make the hard piece. So let's get to doing that. Okay, I got this second one cut, flared, and bent, and I think it looks pretty good. Let's throw it on there and see what it looks like. Okay, here it is in its home. I think I'm just about done with these lines. This stainless steel was actually quite easy to work with, I thought. It's fairly forgiving, and I was able to get it lined up so that I can finger tighten these guys without it binding. It looks great. Now then, I still need to sort out the lines going to the brakes, to the front brakes and the rear brakes, as well as there's a residual pressure valve here, this little guy. Since I'm sticking with drum brakes on the rear, drum brakes have springs in them that compress the slave cylinder. And what this does is it keeps pressure on that slave cylinder to counteract the springs so that it doesn't take as much fluid to push the pads out and get them there. So I need to figure out a place for this guy to live. Okay, I've got that residual pressure valve just right there. I used that piece of brake line that I had made up that was too short. Just kind of unbent that a little bit and made it where it fits down in here. I don't think I like it. I don't think that's where that should go. It's not going to be very serviceable, and it's hard to get to, and especially if you have an engine and stuff in here. So what I think I'd like to do is put it down here by the subframe. I've got the old brake line here, and you can see where it runs down, and it goes just inside of the subframe mount there. It just goes behind that over the subframe and comes along this side here. There's a bolt that holds it in here, and then there's a clip that goes back here. So I think right in this area is where I'd like to put that, so it's easy to access, and it makes making this line is going to be easier because of that. All right, so now that I've got that figured out, we'll go ahead and pull this apart. I'll straighten some line out, start bending on it, and see what I can come up with here. Okay, I went ahead and straightened out a piece of line here, put a flare on the end of it, put a nut on it. But before I start bending that, I need to know exactly what I'm going to do because I don't want to make expensive templates again. So over here, for that line, I've got a piece of green wire here. I'm going to come out of the proportioning valve and down underneath the clutch master cylinder and then down to the subframe there. I think that's going to work out great. As well as I straightened out these other lines and put some flare nuts on them, and I've got them kind of lined up the way that I'd like to see them. I think this one here is going to go down underneath the steering box and across the subframe over to this guy over here. And this one here is just going to go come out here and go down to the subframe and then up and then over to this side over here. Luckily, I have a pretty good template over here of what the brake lines used to do. And that'll give me a good idea of what they need to do now. Like this guy for the passenger side comes down. There's a bolt here that holds it to the subframe there. And then it comes across and then another bolt there and a clip there. And then it comes up over the other side to here. So I can use this as a pretty good idea for a template to bend on those guys. And then the back one, I just need to get down to the subframe. Let's do a little more fit and fiddle here and start bending some lines. Okay, I'm getting the brake line to the rear all bent up here. It's looking real good. Real happy with it. I don't know if you noticed on that other subframe there was a bolt right here. Yeah, there should be a bolt and a clip that holds this. This subframe doesn't have that, so I'll need to drill that out to get a bolt in there. Let's take a look at it down under here. Under here is looking real good. Pilfered the clip from the other subframe. It's looking good. I may need to do a couple offset bends to get that residual pressure valve to not be tied up against the subframe there. But I think it's looking pretty good. I'll be done with this in a minute. Okay, working on this line here. I'm going to put an offset bend in it because this residual pressure valve is thicker than the brake line. And if I just mount this up here and just leave it straight and try and run into this, it's going to put stress on the line against the subframe there and possibly cause it to leak. So if I throw a little offset in there, then this will stick out away from the subframe just enough that it should be fine. I also want to cut it to length. I want to put this right in between these two clips there and there. And so I've marked it where to cut it, as well as I ran a marker down this outside edge of it so that as I'm bending this, I know which way it's got to go. It's got to come straight out this way. So let's pull that off there and see what we got. Okay, over here on the bench, I've got this line here. If this marker line on the paper there represents the subframe and you've got your line clamped to it tightly and you go to put the residual valve in here, you can see how much of an offset that needs to be. And I can actually use that to draw out how I want my offset to look and mark it out just like that. And a good representation of this is electrical lines. If you look at conduits where they go into boxes, you've got an offset bend. So it bends out and then straight again, and that's what I want to do here. So first thing I got to do is cut this line, go ahead and flare it and put a nut on it so that that's done, and then I can put the bends in it. Okay, flared it and put that little offset bend in it. I think it's going to work out just fine. We can test fit it back up there again. All right, this is how it's looking underneath the car. I think that's going to work out just great. I like it. I like the little details like that are really going to make this thing minty. I'm actually going to go ahead and end this video right here. I think I've done enough, and in the next one, you'll see me make the rest of the brake lines. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.